Okay. So next slide, please. Now, what are the steps? So we supposed to understand, analyze. So to write the program for enabling these timers. So in the different modes. Okay. Now you are able to see the steps here. So initialize T-mode register. Now the question is, what we need to initialize T-mode register? Very simple. The mode selection. As already told in the earlier slides, there are four modes. So mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. But generally we go for mode 1 and mode 2 as per our syllabus. As per VTU syllabus, we specify only mode 1 and mode 2. So T mode value is supposed to put according to that mode selection. Okay. So generally gate is 0. CT bar for a timer it is 0. Then mode, let us say if you want mode 1, 0, 1. Okay. So for example, let us say timer 0, mode 1 operation, the value will be 01H in hexadecimal 01H. So if it is for a timer 1, then it is a 10H. Similarly, if it is mode 2, then either it will be 02H or 20H of different timers. So this is step number 1. Step number 2, load the initial values in TL and TH register. That means how much delay you need. Based on that, we need to put value 16-bit value on TL and TH as an initial value. That means our up counter starts the delay. Higher the value in TL and TH, so lesser will be the delay generated. And if the value is least, that is a 0000, then the maximum delay is generated. So in timer mode 1 operation, so maximum delay is 2 to the power of 16 and into multiplied by the machine cycle duration. So one machine cycle is equal to, as I told you,
Sir, please keep your speakers and phone properly because your voice is you're going out and coming in. ಹೋಗಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
just a minute.
ಹಾ,
Just correct.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ನೋಡಿ ಆ ತರ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ. ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್. ಸರ್ ಹಲೋ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ ನರೇಂದ್ರ.
Value to be substituted for given delay generation. Then the third point is nothing but start the timer. So once you start the timer, that means either setting TR0 and TR1, then our progress starts. That means it start accepting clock pulses for up counting purpose. Okay. Now let us say we want a delay of 1 milliseconds. Then we will start the timer. Then and wait until the 1 millisecond. So this is the fourth step. In the fourth step, wait until overflow. What is the meaning of overflow? So there is a maximum value, as I mentioned, FF, above which if any extra one clock pulse means it to show overflow. Overflow means so it is completed, it's counting and it get rollover. Rollover means it will come back to 0000 and also it sets the overflow flag called as a TF. So now what is our intention? We need to monitor that overflow flag. So that is in the fourth step, in the bracket you can see JNB TF comma L1. L1 is there itself. So we'll keep monitoring whether that overflow flag has become 1. If not, we'll be waiting. So once it has become 1 means our time delay generated. So then it goes to next step. What is that next step means? Stop the timer. So how to stop the timer? We know how to start it, right? The same way we need to stop. There we have set T0 means it started. Now clear the T0 or Tier1 depends on which hardware you are using. So once you clear it, so it's going to stop. Okay. Next is clear overflow flag. So what is a clear overflow flag means? We were waiting for overflow flag, that is TF. Now it has become 1 until the required delay is generated. Now we want to clear that. Yes, already our job is done. We want to clear it. Now if we think that the same delay will occur once again, then we need to go to step 7. What the step 7 says? Repeat from step 2 for more delays. Okay, so from step 2 we need to keep repeating. That's all. Any difficulty in this? Next slide please. Okay, now the how to compute that initial value. In the step 2 what we mentioned, we need to know the initial value depends on the delay. How to put that initial value? So you can say initial value formula is there. Initial value minus 1 is equal to maximum value minus required delay into crystal frequency divided by 12. Correct. Now to make it very simple, that bigger formula to make it very simple. So for 8-bit timer and 16-bit timer, there are two different formula are there. First I will take for 8-bit timer, I will take R is equal to required delay divided by TMC. What is delay? Delay whatever is required. For example, I want 2 milliseconds of delay. Then what is TMC? It's a machine cycle duration. So how to calculate machine cycle frequency? Crystal divided by 12. Okay, that will give the machine cycle frequency. If the crystal frequency is 11.059 megahertz, which is most commonly used, so divided by 12. If you do, then it will give the TMC. That is the machine cycle duration. Now R is equal to delay divided by TMC will give some relative value. Now what is the value to substitute? It means it's a 2 to minus that relative value if it is a 8-bit timer. Now you just see the bottom of that slide. There for 16-bit timer, same formula holds good except the 2 to the power of 16 minus R will take. Okay. So any doubt in that?
Sir, your voice is not clear and there is disturbance in your voice. What is coming? Can you use a proper mic or remove the mic and go for the Dell speaker only?
Just a minute, madam. Give me a minute. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Sir, you can continue. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, sir, you can continue. You're audible. ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಸರ್ ನೀವು.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಎಕೋ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ, ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ನಮಗೆ ಕರೆಕ್ಟಾಗಿ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
ಹೌದಾ? ಸರಿ
ಹಾ.
ಮೇಡಮ್.
ಬಟ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಎಕೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನನಗೆ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ನೀವು ಚಾಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ನ ನೋಡಿ ಸರ್. ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಕೇಳಿಸಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಚಾಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ.
ಓಕೆ.
ಓಕೆ, ಚಾಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡಿ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಇವಾಗ?
ಇವಾಗ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
Thank you. Now we understood how to give the initial value in a step 2, correct? So next slide, please. Now we'll take a simple example for generation of square wave. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are the steps to be used to generate square wave? So let us take one arbitrary value. Initially timer 0 in mode 1 we have selected. Load initial value FE 4E into TL0 and TH0 because that is an arbitrary value for a given delay. Complement P2.3, which means at P2.3 we assign it to generate a square wave. After, so complement P2.3, complement means what happens basically, if it is 0 it will become 1, if it is 1 it will become 0, that's all. Then 0 to 1, then I need to wait for some duration, so I call the delay everything.
ಎಕೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಾಯ್ಸ್. ಹಲೋ, ಎಕೋ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸರ್, ನಿಮ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆಯಾ ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ದು ಸೆಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ಸ್?
Okay, so in the step what happens, once again we complement call delay, complement call delay. So now what happens basically, this will generate a 50% duty cycle. Now the next step, how to generate the delay. So this delay can be generated using subroutine algorithm. In subroutine what I can do is, I can start the timer and wait until the timer overflow flag is set. Once the overflow flag is 1, then stop the timer and clear that flag and return to the main program. Subroutine is basically used to generate the timer delay. Let me tell you one important point here. There are two types of delay generation. One is using software, that is using instructions itself. So take multiple instructions in the sequence and keep executing them. So for what purpose? Means just to waste the time, means delay generation. Second method is using hardware. That is nothing but what we are using now, timer delay generation. Based on the timer, you program a timer in such a way that whatever the delay you want, you can get it. But there is a limitation. So in a timer mode 1 operation, normally 71.2 milliseconds is the maximum generally as per our standard baud rate setting frequencies. Okay, let it be. So there is something called minimum and maximum limit. Within that, so we can operate. Similarly, for mode 2 operation, since it is just a 8-bit counter, so that is a limitation. So the 2 to the power of 8 is the maximum
ಕ್ಲೀನ್
count time.
ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಒಂಚೂರು.
Okay. Now, so we need to understand little more better way. Next slide, please.
ಈ ಕಡೆ ಒಂಚೂರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೀಟಾಗಿ.
Now you can check a simple program here. ELP and C both are there. First, we move T mod is equal to 0, 1 H,
ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ,
which
ಗುರ್ಸಿಲ್ಲ.
indicates timer 0, mode 1 operation. Then we have already taken calculated value 4E and FF. We are loading into timer registers, initial value timer, that is a TL0 and TH0. We know that together TL and TH is a 116-bit up counter. Okay. Next, complement P2.3. So complement me, if it is 0, it will become 1 and LCAR delay. So we are calling a delay subroutine. So it will give, let us say, some delay, let us say 1 millisecond. So then after that, sjump again. It will go back and it will reload the value and complement it and call delay. So it is a 50% duty cycle square wave is generated. And every time when you call delay, so you are basically starting a timer and you are waiting for the timer to overflow. Then once the timer is overflow, then naturally, so time whatever is required, we got it. So then we need to stop the timer and clear the overflow flag and come back to our normal main program. So that is a subroutine working. So in the subroutine, basically what we are generating, delay generation. Or delay generation, what are the steps we are using? So load the T mod, load the initial value, start the timer, and wait for the overflow. Once the overflow is done, then automatically come back to so main program. So that is the algorithm for delay generation using timer. Similar delay generation can be achieved using software also. Correct? I think slide is not visible. Please share the slide. So similar to that mode one, mode two operation also we need to program, but only thing reloading every time may not be required. So once you load the initial value, only option is left with us in the mode two is you start the timer, wait for the overflow. Once overflow is there, then come back to once again for monitoring purpose. Please share PPT. Please share PPT. Please share the PPTs. Please share PPTs. Okay, so let me continue. Later they can share it. So second important point, the same hardware which we call it as a timer till now can be used as a counter also. Now what is the difference? So a timer is used to count internal clock pulses only, but counter is used to count the external clock pulses. Correct? So external clock pulse, how to get it? For example, let us say there is a library. In that library, we need to count the number of people enter. So we'll keep a sensor there. As and when anybody passes nearby, So the beam of light may be cut there. That will be sensed by the IR sensor. So that will be taken by this our counter as a clock pulse. This clock pulse will be counted. Then finally, it can keep monitoring how many people entered so into library and exit also. And similarly, if any manufacturing unit is there, their number of products cannot be counted manually. There we'll put the counter. So as and when any completed or finished product passes, the beam of light cuts and it will generate the clock pulse for our 8051 and it will be keep up counting these values. Okay. Madam, please share slides or should I share?
Ma'am is not there. You only share the slides, sir.
Okay, so next option is along with the timer. So we need to uh, understand with the counter. I think, is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what we were discussing about the C program and this one, assembly level program. Okay, now if it is a different duty cycles, how to go ahead with that? Let us try to understand about it. Okay, so now we have taken, let us say on time is 3 millisecond and off time is 10 milliseconds. So crystal frequency 22 megahertz is taken as per the textbook. Okay, so first is move T mod is equal to 0 1. What it does? Very simple, timer 0 mode 1 operation. Then TL0 TH0. What is the role? It is initial value. Then move port 0 is equal to 0 0. Then A call delay. So we are calling a delay, that is delay subroutine. In delay, what exactly we do? On the right side of the screen, you can see. So there is set B TR0. That means we are starting the timer 0. So then we are monitoring. So once it is monitoring is done, so for what for one we are monitoring TF0. If it is overcome, that means if once it is overflow, TF0 become 1. Once it is overflow means already 3 milliseconds delay, whatever we want we generated, then clear that and come back. Okay. So next move TL0 is equal to 8408. This is different delay. See, on time we want 3 milliseconds, after we want, so we want more delay, right? So like that. So that's why two different values we have taken. Next, A call delay. So we are calling once again delay and SGM value. This time the same delay is giving different delay because initial value is different. Correct? Now I can summarize like this. So initial delay so is nothing but 10 milliseconds because we are sending 0 0 off time. Second time, so we are making it high and we are calling delay. It is a 3 millisecond delay. And if we keep repeating this in a loop, so finally it will be keep generating a square wave of different duty cycles. Correct? Any difficulty in this? Okay. So now we understood. So mode 0, mode 2, our programming of our timers. Now in the mode 2, what is the difference between that mode compared to mode 1? What is the major difference you can see here? The same crystal is connected. Okay. And divided by 12 is also there. I think we are able to see the second block. Then there is a AND gate. After that, there is a TL and TH. What is the TL means? It is a lower bit of the timer. TH is higher bit of the register. Now you can see one arrow mark coming back. That is a one arrow mark. We are from the output. We are bringing it to TH. That basically, whenever TF is equal to 1, that means overflow occurs. Automatically, it stimulates the TH and it will make it to reload to TL. So that means only TL is a 8-bit up counter, TH is a supporting for auto reload operation. That's all. So I think it's very clear for you. So once timer in the mode 2 so programming is done, okay. So we are going to continuously generating the delay or whatever the delay or square wave we want. Now steps are very simple. Okay, so as more one you are taken, the similar steps we need to use here also. And every time it overflows. Your overflow means FF. When it reaches from 00 to FF, it overflows. Once overflow takes place, we are going to monitor the similar way. So calculations also similar. Already we have discussed this calculation. You can do in this way also. But the way I showed that is very simple. Later slides are shared to you. Use that method. You always get the accurate value. Okay. So these are the steps we are able to see here. First, as usual, initiate the timer for mode 2 means either it will be 02H or 20H. Next is load initial value into TH0. As I told you, lesser the value in the TH0, more delay generated, and more the value, less delay generated. Because it's up counter, right? Sub counting has to wait until the overflow. Lesser the value means more time it will take to overflow. To give simple example, let us say there are 25 story building is there, and if you start from 10th floor, so you can reach early to the top of the building. If you start from zero, it will take lot of time, correct? More time. Same way it works here. So as you next start the timer, wait until the overflows, stop the timer, clear timer overflow flag, then toggle port pins if at all it is required. As a toggle port pin here we are used for only for programming purpose, that means on and off of some LEDs or something like that. Repeat the step 3 here. So previously we were going for step 2, now it is a step 3. Actually not step 3, it is a step 4 it must be. So because wait until the timer overflow closes the step for step 3 for me here. Okay. Now if you take the same program, so as usual mode 2 means 02, initial value we have taken, set complement, monitor and clear and SGM to wait. Once again you go back to step 4 and keep doing it. Actually step 4 or step before that one step if you take, then it will keep repeating in a multiple loops and you will be getting so square wave continuously. Okay. So now let us see counter how it works. Instead of internal clock pulses, if you check here, so P3.4 is available there. P3.4 from the P3.4, so you're able to so get the clock pulses which will be allowed to TH0 and TL0. Then once the count is finished, the TF0 overflows. Exactly same way as that of our timer, but one major difference is we are waiting for external clock pulses. That means we are not using any internal clock pulses. Then how to get these external clock pulses? If any external event happens. That is the reason counter is also known as a external event counter mode. Okay. So in the counter, if gate is 1, okay, already in the initial for T-mod registration we discussed, if gate is 1, then what happens? The external control will be taken care. For example, let us say fire alarm is there. Fire alarm may not be working until you get the fire. Means fire is a external so thing is supposed to come and trigger remaining part of the system. Correct? So that's why gate is equal to 1 in T-mod register is very important. When external control is really required. If not, gate is equal to 0 means still now whatever the way we are working, only internal control will be taken care of in the system. Any doubts? Okay. Now the application of this timer is one of the important application is serial communication. Okay, so what is the serial communication? Maybe in digital logic you studied about the so parallel in parallel communication That's what we have studied about the port communication. Okay. Then parallel in serial out, serial in parallel out. Correct now. The parallel and serial out is implemented in the serial communication where 8 bit of data will put into the serial buffer and it will be sent bit by bit outside. And in the receiving mode, bit by bit, it will be taken in and parallelly it will be copied to internal registers or any ports, whichever is required for us. Correct? Okay. Now let us have the bit understanding about serial communication. First of all, what is communication? It is a method of sending information from one point called source to the other point called destination. In serial communication, generally source and destinations are very close. Now, one question may be rising in your mind, sir, where do we use the serial communication? My dear students, the serial communication is used everywhere nowadays, we can say. Example is USB, Universal Serial Bus. In serial communication is there, or pen drives, or your data, mobile data. So also we have a USB operated keyboard, USB operated mouse, USB connected hard disk. Everything is on USB. Okay, so that is serial communication is very important. The most important advantage in this communication is number of hard wire are very less. Requirement is very less. Only two lines are sufficient. Out of that, one is for transmission, other one for the receiving. Now let us understand about the serial data transmission. There are three different modes. One is the simplex. Simplex means simply transmitting from transmitter to receiver. Transmitter transmits and receiver receives. Okay, general example for a communication you can take, so as a FM radio, where station is just transmit and receiver just receives. They cannot communicate back through same channel. Now coming to the half duplex, in a general example, you can say it is a walkie-talkie. Either will be talking or it will be receiving. So here transmitter so always talks and receiver always receives, but it is a bidirectional. But limitation is only one direction at a time. Correct? Next coming to so next thing is the full duplex. What is the full duplex? So full duplex means it is bidirectional all the time. That is simultaneously it will be transmitting and simultaneously it will be receiving. That is called the full duplex communication. Okay. Any doubts in this? So next, once we know about methods of communication, there are additional things we're supposed to know about it. It's called synchronous and asynchronous transmission. Synchronous means generally we can take like this. If the transmitter is transmitting at 1 Mbps and a receiver is receiving at the same speed, this is called as a synchronous communication. Asynchronous, to match the different speeds, we use asynchronous transmission. Sometimes we need to store and forward. Okay, sometimes we can have the higher speed device connected to lower speed device. Then asynchronous transmission is used. Next comes simplex and duplex transmission. Simplex means destination. Duplex means bidirectional. Okay. Next is the baud rate is very important. What is that baud rate? Means it is basically symbols transmitted per second. Okay. Sometimes it is taken as a bits per second also, but actually it is symbols transmitted per second. Baud rate. And standards in serial. So all these serial related. So basically we need to use for serial communication. There exists a SCON register, which is called serial control register, which is useful to program serial communication port. In 8051, we have one serial communication port at port 3. So maybe in the pin diagram you might have studied already. So there is TXD and RXD. Two pins are there. These two pins are reserved for serial communication. Okay, so now SM0, SM1. So they decides which mode to be operated. So 00, 01, 10 and 11. Just like timer here also serial mode is there. So each mode has its own significance. Most common, which is highlighted in the red color letters, is nothing but, so it is a 8-bit. So 8-bit, one start bit and one stop bit. Basically, we send that. That's why it's called mode 1. And most of the time, we will use mode 1 in the communication, which is, you can say, generally it is used. Mode 1 is generally used. Then SM2 is used for multi-processor communication. REN, so is used, so for receiving enable. TB8 and RB8, so they are used for, so they transmitting extra bit for security. TI and RI are transmission and receiving interrupts. Correct? Any doubts? Now basically we use mode 1. Next, coming to RS-232 standard. This is the international standard for transmitting signal serially. So we have generally RS-232 port also. So through that we have the, so communication. Okay, RS-232 is a serial protocol. So we have one IC called as a MAX 232 and 233 for converting the levels from microcontroller to PC. What is that microcontroller to PC means? In microcontroller, normal TTL logic. But the logic 1 means 5 volts, logic 0 means 0 volts. Whereas in our IBM PCs, logic 1 means minus 3 to minus 25 volts. But logic 0 means it is plus 3 to plus 25. It's a inverted logic. So to convert compatibility, to have the compatibility between PC and music and 232, through that we can achieve the voltage level conversion for data communication. So now you can see 8051 connection to RS-232. So you are able to see 3 important things here. What are the 3 important things we are able to see here? One is 8051 itself. Then there is a MAX 232 IC, which basically used for level conversion. Okay. So then what we have? So we have is a DB9 connector, which is very, very important connector. Now, what is the significance of DB9 connector? So it has, so one ground connection, one TXD means transmit data connection, one RXD means receive data connection. Okay. So and along with that we have some handshaking signals to check whether the device is ready for the receiving. All such things can be achieved through handshaking of these things. Okay. So how that modem is connected, you can see left side DTE, data terminal equipment, other side also DTE, data terminal equipment. Here modem connection is like this. Ground is common, TXT, transmit data is connected to receive data of the other device and vice versa. Okay, so this is the way. And how that DB9 connector look like and what are the data signals. My dear students, you just observe these things, all pins. Let me tell you after your observation. Please observe, all of you keep observing these things. Okay, now what you are finding is the data carrier detect. Second is receive data. Data carrier detect basically, so detect whether there is any signal present. Okay. Next, receive data. As I already told, it was receive data serially. Correct. Then we have TXD. So what is the role of TXD? So it is a transmit data serially. Correct. Okay. Next, data terminal ready. What for it is used? So whether terminal is ready for data communication? Yes. That to check that. So we use that data terminal ready. So next we have, so data set ready. So whether data set is ready to receive the signal, it has to be checked with that data set ready. And request to send. Request to send means shall I send? Is a request is asking. When clear to send means okay, no problem, you can send. Then there is a ring indicator means the communication is going on. Okay. So these are the steps for, or these are the pins are reserved for DB9 connectivity, and these are the steps. Steps means first whether data set is ready, data terminal is ready. So then request to send, clear to send, and ring indicator. These are the steps involved in communication. These are called as handshaking signals. Okay. So handshaking is basically interaction between two separate communication devices, like your GTE and VCT, whatever we say. Right? Next we have DB9 connector. So those are the pins what we have already understood. Now SFR is reserved for serial port. SFR means special function register, reserved for serial port or serial control register, which we already studied. SBUF is a serial buffer. This buffer acts as a transmitting part and receiving part in before serial communication established bit by bit. So that means if you put 8-bit value to SBUF for the transmission, it will keep that value and it shift it right by one bit by bit until all the bits goes out. In receiving mode, the same SBUF will wait until all the 8 bits are received. Once they are received, then we can copy that to somewhere else. Okay, then TMOD and TCON. So TMOD is also important because for serial communication, the speed is decided by timer 1 mode 2 operation. So TMOD has to be used for our purpose here. So TCON timer control register also. Why? I want to start and stop. The start and stop bits are present only in TCON register. Okay. Next we have IP and IE. IP is interrupt priority and interrupt enable. Whenever we want to use serial communication with interrupts, so then I can use IP and IE. IP is interrupt priority register, IE is interrupt enable register. What are the steps used for serial communication? All of you just glance, then I will explain. Okay. As usual, we need to set the mod register. 20 indicates timer 1 mode 2. Okay. Second thing, what is that initial value to be loaded to set the speed of the transmission. Then step 3, I want to take SCON register, and I told you already it is mode 1. Mode 1 means value will get is 50 Hz. Then start the timer. When you start the timer, what happens? Serial communication starts. That's all. Then clear TI flag. If you are in a transmission mode, first clear it. If at all it has become 1, means already transmission is over. So TI is equal to 0 means transmission is to be started now. Now move the 8-bit data to SBUF. So it will be transmitting bit by bit slowly. Wait until that all 8 bits are sent. That is step number 7. So all the 8 bits are sent means my job is done. 1 byte of data I have sent. Then 8th step is for transferring another 8-bit data, repeat from the step 5. That means once again clear. Clear means I am ready to transmit the value now. You put the value to be sent. Wait until all the 8 bits goes off. Once all the 8 bits are goes off, so TI become 1 and come out of the loop, and if you want one send one more, otherwise you can stop it. Okay. Now as I mentioned, baud rate is adjusted by timer 1 mode 2. Correct. So now you can see their baud rate, the crystal divided by 12, so into 32. So 32 is not in the numerator, in the denominator itself. Total value, that is the crystal frequency, divided by 12 and divided by 32. 2 times we need to divide. Then, so 1 divided 256 1 This is a baud rate setting. Okay, but block diagram explains very neatly. What you have first crystal and divided by 12 and divided by 32. After that, TR1 is there. Means it is a timer run bit. Once timer run bit starts, TL1 and TH1 will keep getting the clock pulses, and once it is overflow, it will generate one more clock pulse for the baud rate. That means our baud rate means bit rate. You can say here the rate of bit transmission depends on the clock pulse which is coming out of timer. That is a TL1 bit. Okay, so since it is auto reload, it regularly or periodically it will be giving the clock. Okay. So now various standard baud rates you are able to see here. Please observe these baud rates. Okay. So after in the observation, what you're able to see there, in hexadecimal FD means, so you are putting in the -3, both are same actually. When you go to calculator in hexadecimal, if 0 -3 if you do, you'll get FD only. Correct? So FD same as -3 in decimal. FA in hexadecimal same as -6. F4 is same as -12 in hexadecimal. Equivalent value is nothing but -12 in decimal. Same thing. So like E8 is the hexadecimal value, -24 is the decimal value. Either you can put this value or that value, and there is internally it will take care of it as a -3 same as FD. Okay. So most common baud rate is 9600 baud rate, which is achieved by setting value in the timer as FD. Okay. So this is a simple program. Transfer letter H at 9600 bauds. So first step is load the TMOD register with 20H and move TH1 is -3. -3 as I told you it is 9600 bauds. Now move SCON is equal to 50H means it is a serial mode 1 operation. Set V TR1 means it is a timer start. Timer start means here the serial communication starts. So now move the character to be sent to SBUF. Now that wait loop is a wait until the transmission is over. We know that once the transmission is over, TI become 1. Okay, so clear the TI. In the next step, you clear the TI and SJump again. So keep sending this H continuously. This you can check in your kill software also. Just check so in the port in SBUF what you can put and how it moves. So through all those things you can check. So a similar program is there in one thing. C is case sensitive. You should be very careful and handle C. LP is okay, no problem. Okay, so one more program is there. Okay, so I think I'll skip these programs. So directly we move on to. So next, receiving data serially. So receiving data is very similar. So see, first load the TMOD 20H. It is same as the transmission. So load the TH1 for the baud rate. That is all the same. Step 3, SCON is equal to 50. That is all the same. Okay, no change in that. 3 steps. Now start the timer. It has to be done. Now clear RI flag. There TI flag we have cleared means ready to transmit there. The clear RI means ready to receive. So once it is 0, so it is ready to receive the data and wait till RI flags goes high. So now read the SBUF for received character. Okay, so then repeat the step 5. So go back and keep once again clear RI, wait for one more byte to come. Once the byte is received, so take it from the SBUF to wherever we want. Whether it want to store it in memory or we want to set it to port, whatever you want. Correct? So let us see a simple example here. So first we have taken move TMOD is equal to 20H. As I told you, timer 1 mode 2 operation. move th1 is equal to minus 3 is 9600 watts. Move scon is equal to 50h. What is the meaning here? Serial mode 1 operation. Set B TR1 means start the timer when here serial starts. Clear RI. What is clear RI? So basically that is a receiving enabling we are doing. So clear RI means so it is ready to receive now. So monitor that. So wait until RI become 1. Can you tell me when RI become 1? It is after receiving all 8 bits, RI will be 1. Correct? So now move A comma S buff. Whatever you take from serial buffer, you just take to accumulator and wherever you want to send it, like 62H or whatever, or send it to port 2. So wherever you want, you can send. And S jump again. Keep receiving this continuously. That is the meaning here. Now the doubling the baud rate. So whenever we want to achieve the speed high, we can do two things. One is change the crystal frequency, so that we replace the normal frequency with higher frequency crystal. So that may not be possible always. Better is the doubling the baud rate, which is supported by 8051 hardware inside itself. There is SMOD bit serial mode, and if it is 1, so double the speed is taken. So here 9600 baud is taken for FD, which we already used. But if you make SMOD is equal to 1 with the same initial values, it get double. That is 19,200 is the baud rate. Similarly, you can observe whatever the speed is there at SMOD 0, that is a normal speed, get multiplied by 2. That means double the baud rate. So this is the way we can double the baud rate. Now the next important point is the interrupt programming. So what is that interrupt? Why do we need it? There are two methods of taking or giving the service to devices which are connected to the main processor or controller. First method is called the polling method. So you keep on asking the request. So whether you want it, like that, keep servicing each and every device continuously. Okay, this is called as a monitoring also. So keep monitoring who is required service, and whoever is required service, we service. Interrupt is not like that. So interrupt is alert to the CPU. Whenever any important things has to be done, the interrupt will come, and based on the interrupt, will stop all action and will do the important action. Okay. So for example, let us say fire alarm. If it is connected with the interrupt, so that machine may be working for some other purpose also. But as soon as interrupt comes, it will stop all other action and it will so give the siren so that people can give the alert about that fire has some problem there. Okay, so fire sensor is sensing and that will be acting as an interrupt. Now, what are the advantage of interrupt? Okay, so advantage is so parallel processing so is possible. We can do something and only when interrupt comes, we can shift on to that one. But whereas in the polling, it is the usage of time. And priorities can also be assigned based on the interrupts. You want which one to be taken care first, second, and other things can be done through interrupt methods. Okay, so in 8051 we have so 5 8051 interrupts so along with the reset option. So totally, if you include reset also, there are 6 interrupts are there. Okay, but generally we call it as 8051 as 5 interrupts, and they are also called as a vector interrupts because each interrupt so is mentioned with a particular vector address. So what is that vector address mean? Whenever that interrupt occurs, our PC is loaded with the vector address, and whatever is there in that location called as a interrupt service routine get executed, and upon RETI, that is return instruction, it will come back to the main program. Okay. These are the sequence it will follow whenever interrupt occurs. Whenever interrupt occurs, what happens? PC get new address called as vector address, and it serves that serving routine, whatever is written there. At last, it will find RETA instruction. Once the RETA instruction is executed, it will come back to the main program from where it was interrupted. Let me keep continue earlier working. So now there is a register which is related to interrupt called IE register, means interrupt enable register. There are totally 7 bits are there. EX0 means extra interrupt 0. ET0 means enable timer 0. EX1 means enable extra. ET means enable timer 1. ES means enable serial port. ET2 means timer 2, which is not there in 8051, but of course it is there in a higher version of 8051 called 8052. And D6 bit is not used. What is the significance of EA? EA means it is enable all. So it is just like a main switch. If at all you want to set the any interrupt to active state, first EA should be 1. Means it is enabling all. After that, which interrupt you need particularly, let us say timer 1. Then you can make that also 1. So it is just like a EA is like a main switch. So ET1 is like a sub switch. So whenever you enable that sub switch along with the main switch, that particular interrupt is ready to work. Okay. Now we have, so this instruction can be used bit addressable instruction or byte addressable instruction using move instruction, or you can see set B and clear also. Okay, so simple example we have taken here, generate a square wave of 10 kilohertz using timer 1 mode 2. Okay, so how do we do that? Display A at port 2 and B at port 0 also. So there are multiple options are there. Multiple options were not possible until the interrupts were taken care of. Now we need to do that. So what is the algorithm? Initialize the T mod at timer 0 mode 2 because we want square wave generation. Load the initial value and enable the interrupt. EA is equal to 1 as I told, it is a main switch. Then ET0 is equal to 1 because I want timer 0 interrupt also. So enable these two register and start the timer. Send ASCII value A to port 2 because question it is there like that, and B to port 0. And repeat these steps continuously. I mean, this is the main program. Okay, in ISR, what I supposed to do? So toggle port pin 1 to P1.3 because I want square wave generation and return from the interrupt after finishing the job. So we'll write that program. You just see the left side part of it, which is nothing but ALP. Okay, first ORG00, then SJump to main. So main is written from 30H onwards. Now as soon as the interrupt is given, it will go to 000B because we enabled that interrupt. Okay, that is the timer 1, timer 0 interrupt. So then it will complement, it will after going there, it will complement P1.3. So it will complement that. Then RETA will return to the main program. Now in the main program, we have T mod is equal to 0 2. So means timer 0 mode to operation. Move T0 with the A4 value, which is for the given delay we have calculated and we have substituted. Then move I is equal to 82. Why 82 means leftmost bit is 1 because it is a EA. As we have taken here. So EA should be 1. So and timer 0 to be 1. So totally if you substitute others are 0, then you get 82. So that 82 we are able to substitute here. Then you start the timer and keep sending A to port 2 and the B to port 0 and keep repeating this in a loop. Whenever interrupt occurs, by itself it will move to that interrupt service routine called as a 000B address, complement the bit and come back. Of course, you may raise a question, sir, when you will get an interrupt? Whenever timer overflows, it takes as interrupt and automatically it goes and complement and comes back to the main program. Okay, so parallel processing is taken. Like there this parallel is also generated and some other port 2 and port 0 operation also taken care. So parallel processing is possible with the interrupts. So there is no wastage of also from this. Okay, so here is the timer 0 and timer 1. Using both timers, so can we generate square wave Yes, it is possible. Two different spec. One is a 5 kilohertz, other is a 25 kilohertz. The same steps we are trying to follow. Initialize timer 0 and 1 in mode 2. Enable interrupt of timer 0 and 1 using IE register. Load the values in TH1, TH0 for 5 kilohertz and 25. So separate values have to be loaded. Then start the timer 0 and 1. So go to remaining steps and do that. P1.3 for the first frequency and complement other one for the second one. So that's what we block diagram says here. P1.3 and P2.3 are two different pins where we need to generate two different frequencies for 5 kilohertz and 25 kilohertz. Okay. So this is about the interrupt part of it. Now there is a TCON register, timer control register, which we are using already. But here these first 4 bits are very important for us. Okay, that is a TF1, TR1, TF0, TR0. TR0 for starting the timer 0, TR1 used for starting the timer 1. And already we know TF0 means timer 0 overflow flag, TF1 is the timer 1 overflow flag. Okay, so using other 4 bits, IE1, IT1, IE0, and IT0, we can adjust them to whether we want level triggered interrupt or edge triggered. Edge trigger means like falling edge and rising edge triggering. Level means when the logic is high is maintained or logic 0 is maintained for some time. Okay. Now, so a simple example is that light LEDs at port 0 if P3 pointer is pressed and light LED at port 2 if P3.3 is pressed. That means it is monitoring the key, and based on the key, we are going to take action as per the given problem. So first we enable INT0 and INT1 using IE register. Set level triggered mode INT1 and INT0. Then so continuously keep monitoring. So let us write the program in the same manner. So if you see, go to main program directly. So in main program, so we are so repeating, and in the 0003, this is INT0, move to port 0, 0 FF, means we are making it as an input port. Correct. So if you see the second part, right side part, move P2 is equal to 0 FF, means input port. So let's jump to start directly. If you come to start and see, IE is equal to 85 because I enabled external interrupt 0 and external interrupt 1. Clear IT 0. So then clear IT 1. Both we are clear. So yes, jump here. That means that is the end of the thing. Now in the again, if you see above, you will be loading R0 and will be generating some delay, and then we are sending to that particular port 2. Earlier it was port 0, and it is port 2. Next, so we have serial communication interrupt. So just now we have studied about serial communication where we were monitoring RI and TI. If TI is equal to 0, transmission mode, RI is equal to 0, receiving mode. That means what is the meaning of TI is equal to 1? If TI is equal to 1 means 1 byte transmission is over. If RI is equal to 1 means 1 byte receiving is over. So using this concept, so we will be programming the serial interrupt. So for example, here the program is there. Write a program for 8051 to do the following. Read data from port P1 and write it to port 2 continuously. This is one of the action. Second action, also the data from port 1 is transferred serially. Whatever the data you take from the port 1 byte you just send it to serial buffer and it will be transmitting that in serial mode. Then the third option is the data received serially is displayed at port 0. If at all any data is coming, I need to receive that and I need to send it to port 0. So here, so 3 ports are used for general purpose and port 3 is used for serial communication. So all ports are used. This is the best usage of all ports. Now, how do you write the ALP? the same way, you just go to the start. First we'll see the start part. In the start part, so we initialize the tmod, th, scon, ie, p1, all those things will initialize, correct? After that, we'll start the timer, set with tr1. So we'll start the timer, then move the contents of port 1 to accumulator and send it to port 2. That's what is required. So then again we'll go to again. The again what we'll do, so take the contents of accumulator and put it to sbuf. So let's jump again. So it will keep transmitting. In the serializer, so JBTI, we are checking whether that bit becomes as 1. If it is bit, then go to transmission mode. If it is not 1, then go to receiving mode. So if you see JBTI trans, after that we have 4 lines: move A comma sbuf, move P0 comma A, clear RI and IIT. So if it is not because of TI, means because of RI. If RI is there, means take that value to which is there in the sbuf to accumulator and send it to port 0. That is our main task, one of the tasks. Okay. Then clear RI. Clear RI means what? Transmission is over, so we are ready to receive one more byte. RETA, return to main program. Similarly, in the trans, what happens? So we are clearing TI. Because of TI only, it has become 1. Let's clear that. Then after that, so P1, contents of the port 1, put it to accumulator, then you put it to SBUF. SBUF will take care of sending that serially bit by bit out. Once all 8 bits are sent out, then TI become 1 and that is the end. We need to return back to the main program. Okay, so this is called a serial transmission. Now the priority implementation in 8051. This is a common Viva question. So how the priorities are assigned means it is priorities highest is INT 0, external interrupt 0. Second priority is timer interrupt 0. Third priority is external interrupt 1, INT 1. And the fourth one is timer interrupt 1, 4. Serial communication, which is because of RI and TI, it is a least priority. Okay. Now, can we change this priority? Means yes, it is possible. There is a register called as IP, interrupt priority register. So which is shown in the bottom, interrupt priority register. Whichever you want to prioritize, you just make that particular bit is equal to 1, then that will get the priority. Now coming to interfacing part. So interfacing basically requires a microcontroller kit, a computer, and the additional interfaces. Computer is required to write the program and dump it to microcontroller kit as shown here. And so additional bit here it is shown is a DAC, which is required to work with the external world, that means digital to analog conversion. Whatever the digital value you give, the corresponding analog voltage will be moving outside of the DAC, and that will be connected to channel for observation purpose. Since it is a part of our lab also, we are supposed to focus on this. So to begin with, if I send value 0, 0, what happens to the DAC? DAC output will be 0 volt. If at all it is working for 0 to 5 volts, it will be 0 volt. If I make that value is equal to FF, what happens? Maximum value, let us say 5 volts is the maximum value we get the output. Okay, what if I send 7F means it's an intermediate value 2.5 volts. That means every value equally generates some voltage if it is 0 to 5. No sir, I have plus 12 and minus 12 volts. No problem, then maximum will be plus 12 and minimum will be minus 12 will be taken care. So here the diagram dual DAC is shown. So dual DAC is a general DAC board available in the labs. Need not be always dual DAC, it can be single DAC also. But basically the interfacing can work like this. That's what I mean to say. Then in the DAC, can we generate ramp? Yes, possible. What are you supposed to do? Keep incrementing the value from 0 to FF. Then you will get 0 to 5 volts rising, then suddenly falls, once again rising 0 to 5, falls like that. It's a continuation. Can we generate staircase waveform? Yes, it is also possible. How it is possible? So first make it high, then wait, give a delay, then once again raise it, next higher value, delay, higher value, delay. For example, 10, then delay, 20, delay, 30, delay, 40, delay, 50. Like that, you keep so giving the value and it keep raising its value. So after that, once again, it will reset and works. Okay, the first staircase we call generation. Now, how do we generate triangular? Keep increasing the value from 0 to FF. At FF, we'll get 5 volts. After FF, keep decreasing the value to 0. So falling edge will be. So rising slope is uh, obtained by raising the value or incrementing the value from 0 to FF. Every incremented value will be given to DAC. So, yeah, correspondingly, voltage is generated like this, and this can be visualized on CRO. Similarly, after FF, if you keep decrementing the value every time and sending the CRO, so you get the falling slope of the triangle. So this is a continuous process, and it will generate a triangle wave. Similar sine wave. We have formula here. V is equal to 2.5 volts plus 2.5 volts sin theta, where theta is theta 30 degree. So every theta substitution you get some value. Correspondingly, you can put that value in an array and you can send those values one by one to get the sinusoidal signal from the DAC output. So you can visualize this in CRO. Okay. And even in kill software, there is a logic analyzer. You can give the value to logic analyzer and you can check the tool, software tool itself. Okay. That is the thing. Second is the LCD interface. So all of you know LCD consists of a display. Now I want to interface that particular display. So what to do? So you can see in this diagram there is a RS, RW and E. RS is called a register select, R/W is read and write, and E is the enable. LCD itself has its own microcontroller for display purpose. So data lines are sent connected so that we can send whatever data to be displayed to LCD. What is the role of RS? Means register select. There are two types of register in LCD: command register and data register. Command register will decide so where to display and how to display and when to display and all. That will be given by our program itself. And data register will just take the value to data register to be displayed. So next option is a read and write. Either you can read the data from microcontroller, LCD to microcontroller, or you can write to LCD. Both you can do. If it is busy, so it will be showing the busy signal also. Next there is a E signal, enable. This enable signal so makes that whatever the data is sent to be displayed or read written or whatever it is. Okay, it is low to high transition or high to low transition. So we taken care. You can show. You can see that in the diagram. And this is a program. So basically in the program, so whatever we want to display, so we go for command writing. Okay, so we can go for command writing. It will decide what where to display the first line, second line, and which position and all. And data right will indicate so what data to be displayed. And delay, which is very important part of our LCD. Next interface is called as a stepper motor. Stepper motor basically moves in the step angles of 1.8 degree or 2 degree. It works based on the positionally the four magnet connected mentioned in the diagram. There is something called a rack and pinion adjustment for every step movement. Every step after it's moving, let's say 1.8 degree, it will locks. Once again, it will move and lock, move and lock like that. That's why it's called the step motor. The step it moves. There is something called a step angle. So you can calculate depends on number of so tooth which are there. Okay. So based on that, we can. Now, how exactly it works means the working is very simple. You keep exciting coil A. You can see the diagram: coil A, coil B, coil C, coil D. If you keep exciting coil A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, then there may be a clockwise rotation. If the reverse order ADCB, ADCB, if you consider, then but will be rotating in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so that's what is shown in the two phase on here. So you can see 10001, next 1100, everything is shifted right by one. So you can say counterclockwise. Similarly, other one, you can see only one of the coil is executed, A, then B, then C, and then D. That is the second table shows. Then in the half sequence, so you have 1001, 100. The combination of above tables is called as a half sequence table. Okay, finally, the connection diagram is shown in the 4.19. If you see, 4 pins are sufficient to interface stepper motor, and driver is important, which means the more current for coil to get excited. And so it works on the basic principle of excitation. Like if you rotate in anti-clockwise direction, and if you rotate in the opposite direction, it will move in the anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so this is one of the simple program what we can see. And last and most important is ADC. What is ADC? ADC is basically analog to digital converter. So all signals in the nature are analog. Whether you take audio, video, or light, temperature, whatever it is, all are analog. But our microcontroller can understand only digital, right? So in that case, ADC is very, very important for us. This ADC basically takes analog input and convert into digital output, and there is a basic idea of working it. If you check the pin numbers here, pin number 5 is called the interrupt. So this is very important pin for 8051. You can check the interface diagram here. So there are options: read, write, data lines, INTR. Left side of ADC you can see read, write, data lines, D027, and interrupt. Right side you can see VCC, clock by right, clock in, V in plus, V in minus, ground also is are there. Correct? CS is grounded means always ADC selected. Now one question may so rise here. Sir, how do we program it? The program is very simple. So whenever I want analog value to be read, which is connected to V in plus, okay, what I will do, I will send a signal called as a conversion. So once start of conversion is given, it will give end of conversion. After conversion, it will take some time for conversion, and then it will give UOC, end of conversion. Okay, so here start of conversion you can say WR is there writing, then INTR is called as the end of conversion. Then the question, when do you get INTR? Once ADC converts its value, analog value to digital value, then it says I have converted. So that command will be called P2.7 here as per the diagram. And data is available between D0 to D7. Now 8051 supposed to read them. So we supposed to write a program in such a way that as soon as I get INTR, that is interrupt signal here, I supposed to read the value from D0 to D7. Okay. That is it. So this completes our last module, and the common questions will be like explain ADC. Is a 10-mark question, DAC 10-mark question, stepper motor 10-mark question. So don't neglect about these interfaces part. So very important. Now, what about other question? What are other typical questions they'll ask means interrupt registers, IE and IP registers, and their priorities. Then serial register, SCON and SPUF, and how they work, how to set the baud rate. What is the importance of RI and TI in serial communication? Then coming to the timer. So what are the different modes of timers? So explain the working of or explain the registers TMOD and TCON. Like that the last. And then mode 0, uh, timer 0 and timer 1, and mode 1 and mode 2 operation. So these are the things we're supposed to remember. Any
Sir,
doubts we'll take.
thank you, sir. I'll just take the questions. Do we have any questions? If you have any questions, you can post in the chat box. Sir will take up questions. We had updates today, sir, in all the laptops. That is the reason you had problem. Even I faced problem. There was another host. Even he was facing problem to log in.
Oh,
Initially, that is the reason, I guess.
Okay.
No questions? Shall we wind up? Thank you so much, Professor Narendra. The session was really awesome. We thank you so much for the wonderful session. We don't have any questions. So thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity, madam.
Yes, sir.
If
Yes, sir.
technical issues were not there, then the session would have been very nice actually. For that.
Actually, true.
Okay, thanks a lot for